So now it is time for our final guest. Please welcome the first female race director for the FIA. She's worked in Formula 2, Formula 3, and has also been a steward in Formula 1. Silvia Bellot, welcome to our show. Thank you for coming on. It sounds like you do a lot behind the scenes in the world of motorsport. So can you tell us about exactly what it is that you do?
Hi, Naomi. Thanks for having me today here. So as you mentioned, I was the F2 and F3 race director in 2020 for the FIA. And I also been a steward since 2011 for Formula 1. In addition to that, I also do other roles in motorsport, like deputy clerk of the course in certain F1 Grand Prix. And I'll also join the new challenge of the e-scooter championship as a race director as well.
Sounds very exciting. Can you tell me about the responsibilities of being a race director and a steward?
Of course. The main responsibilities of the race director are granting the safety of all the participants. They are the ones ensuring that they run the event in a smooth way, all the sessions and races. They are also responsible just to decide which are the safety measures that they will have to take in case of an incident. They will decide for a neutralization, either with a VSC or a safety car, or they could either decide for a red flag if the barriers, for example, need some type of repair. In addition to that, the race director is the person is the main contact with the drivers and the teams, and also to report the stewards in case of a possible infringement. This is what we normally do as race directors. And on the steward side, as you may know, we don't work individually. We work in a team. We're a panel of 4 in Formula 1. We've got a chairman, an international steward, a local one, and a driver steward. And our main responsibility is to grant the fairness of the sport. So some people think that we are the police, but that's not our case. We don't intervene unless that we've been reported of a possible infringement. And by taking decisions, we might end up penalizing some of the drivers and teams in order to grant that fairness.
Well, it certainly sounds like a lot of weight to carry on your shoulders and a lot of responsibility. But Silvia, I mentioned earlier that you're the first ever female race director for the FIA, so it's a very uncommon to see women in this type of role, and also it doesn't seem like a common job path for people to go after. So how did you get into it?
So motorsport has been always part of my life. My family, some members of my family have been involved in motorsport since they were young. So it was not an unusual thing for me. I love motorsport. I remember waking up very early with my dad just to watch the Australian Grand Prix. So I've always been around the sport, and I thought that the best way just to get involved was just being an official. So I think that was a great way to do it. And I always thought I would like to be part of Formula 1, and I wanted to be an F1 steward or a race director. But unfortunately, when I joined the sport a few years ago, there were no role models that I could follow. I knew what I wanted, but I wasn't sure that was a road for me. And I'm happy that I'm opening those, let's say, doors for other women to come and they can feel represented and they see maybe a future path for their careers.
Amen.
Yeah, Silvia, you're leading the way with that. I'm intrigued to know, what skills do you need to be a good race director?
I would say just to be a race director and also to be a steward, I would say the first one, you need to be fearless. I mean, things happen in a short period of time. So it's important that you're fair, but at the same time, you're fearless. You cannot be scared of taking decisions. The same as the stewards, our role basically implies taking decisions. And you need to be calm as well, is really important. You need to be good communicating and obviously have sporting and technical knowledge about the sport. That's really important as well.
Yeah, Silvia, you mentioned there about the communication, and last year, of course, in F1, we saw team principals able to talk directly to the race director. I'm just intrigued to know what you think, if you think that was a good idea. Obviously, we don't have it in 2022. What was the general consensus from you and your team?
Well, I think the race director has got a really important job, and they need to focus on what they're doing. As I said, the main responsibility is safety, and obviously it's really important also just to keep that relationship with the teams. But when it's time to focus, safety must be first, and if that's the necessary step, I more than welcome it.
Yeah. One other thing, how do you keep drivers in check? Because, I mean, Naomi's smiling here. I'm sure sometimes stewards and race directors sometimes probably do take the brunt of some of the frustration from drivers. What are your kind of, how do you do that? How do you keep drivers in check?
I think the most important thing, as I said before, is communication, and in a way just to be open and just to be clear from the beginning. I think we've got a good attitude now from the FIA where we welcome everyone. We're happy to discuss any issues with drivers and teams, and I think this is really good. And I always said that the doors of my office are open, that I'd rather have a long discussion about regulations or possible decisions or incidents instead of having to deal with it after and maybe end up with a penalty.